What's up, everybody? Dean is here. We are live, Dean. What's going on? What?
What do you know about that?
What do you know? You come on and we're live. We don't have the usual time for our kibitzing as men do. Hopefully it'll show up live on our page. So we didn't, oh, look at this. We didn't do it for a week and nobody's here. Ken's like, has it started yet? Yes, it has started. So how you been? We didn't do a show last week because I was in Florida.
Yes, you were. Say. Ground zero.
What are you gonna do?
You were there. You were there to say, I'm good.
It's one of those things. What are you gonna do? I mean, it's at this point, life goes on. I'm not in a high risk group.
Mm-hmm.
I wore my face condom there and face condom back, and when I felt an issue, I wore it. So, what are you gonna do? I mean, you just kind of you go with the flow. Getting pissed off about it doesn't do you any good.
I know. A friend of mine posted this joke. He's a comedian. I used to work with him in New York City. And he had this joke. He goes, this woman asked me to put on a mask, and it wasn't about COVID.
Well, the thing that I like, okay, and as you know, what's up, Nobby? It's 5 o'clock down under.
Yeah.
Now, we're either popular or the man has nothing to do. So I think we're popular.
I think we're his morning meditation.
I thought you were going to say morning medication.
His affirmations.
Affirmation, medication, and mediation. Or watch us during your mastication.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's breakfast time. As long as you have one. Now you made me lose track of what I was thinking about. Oh. So interestingly enough, my grandson is here again. And he wanted to come hang out with Grandpa because his older brother is doing volunteer work at the hospital for 2 weeks as part of his ROTC. And so he has to do 2 weeks of volunteer. So Eli is here.
That's cool. And that's we got a hats off because that is frontline service.
Right. So Eli is I want to be a copywriter. So he's asking me, hey, Grandpa, what are we going to do? I said, okay. So we had a big, long discussion. We had to drive somewhere today. I was looking at a barn because we're going to build a barn here. So anyway, kid's like, I don't remember how the discussion came up. And he asked me something about, how do you actually get people to buy? And it came back to the discussion of the 5 questions I'm always harping on. What problem do you solve? Who do you solve it for? How do you solve it? What makes your solution unique? And where are you going to be able to put your sales message in front of people? Those are the 5 things. Because if you can't successfully answer those 5, it doesn't matter what the answer is to the other 4. Or whichever ones you can't answer. So we started talking about that. And then we started talking about, well, what makes people buy now? I mean, this kid's 11 and he's like, what makes people buy now? I said, you mean as opposed to waiting? He said, yeah, I mean, he still hasn't figured out what he wants to sell, but he's thinking about how do I get people to buy and how do I get them to buy now? Because his goal is to make $1 million by the time he's 16. That's what he wants.
Guns.
No, but he's trying to figure out what his shtick is going to be.
Yeah.
And so I told him the story, that basically if you want to sell, or, I told him and then I gave him an illustration, which I will share with you. Then there will be a period and a pause and we will get Dean's thoughts. But I said, go back to the question, what problem do you solve? Now, what makes people buy now in relation to the problem? Well, they know they have the problem. The problem is urgent and they want to solve it and they're willing to spend money on it. So there are subsets to these questions. I make it sound easy, but there's some elaboration that goes on there. But the big thing is they got to know they have the problem. They got to have a desire to satisfy it and they got to be willing to spend money on it in order for you to be able to make go. So I likened it to this. Some people might have a hangnail. I had a hangnail the other day. I took care of it all by myself. Didn't have to go to the doctor or anything. But if you have a hangnail and let's say you pull at it, pour a little lemon juice on it, oh my God, does it just stings? Okay.
Man.
So you think to yourself, I need a Band-Aid, right? So I go to the grocery store. Maybe I stop at, what's up, Hassan? Maybe I stop at Starbucks on the way, because it doesn't hurt that bad. And I'm driving by Starbucks. I don't get up there all the time. I roll into Walmart. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll look at power tools and stuff and buy a new chainsaw or something. And then I eventually make my way over to the pharmacy area. I comparison shop all of the different Band-Aids. Maybe I want a cloth Band-Aid. Remember when they came out with cloth Band-Aids? That was like a big revolution.
Yeah, was that Curad?
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe I want the one with the built-in antiseptic, and eventually I have a coupon. Eventually I go and buy the thing maybe at some point. Now I actually gave this story to an 11-year-old, and he was placed in my care, and maybe Child Protective Services needs to be called. So I said, now imagine with that same chainsaw that you bought, you go home and you cut your leg off. It's like hanging by a little tiny piece of skin. Like in Harry Potter, nearly headless Nick. You just got this little tiny piece of skin. Blood is squirting out like a Monty Python movie. And do you ask the ambulance driver, hey, how much is this ride to the hospital going to cost me? Or that tourniquet or that bandage or that pint of blood you're pumping into me? How much is this? And, is there a guarantee? And what's the brand on that? And no.
Who's the doctor?
Yeah, who am I going to go see? And I said, and then we started talking about value. I said, now think about this. Not only, I asked him, would you ask any of those questions? He's like, no. Exactly. So that's an urgent problem. In fact, if you're lying on the side of the road, what do your family members say to somebody that stops to help? Please help us. We'll do anything. We'll pay anything. Okay. That's the point you want to get somebody to. But now, to make it even more effective, you got to raise the value. Not only when you call a number, 911, ambulance shows up, they take care of you, they provide everything you need to live, and then they literally walk you into the hospital and say, you know what, we're not even going to hand you off until we know that the doctor knows you're here, knows what the deal is, and they have taken control of you to make sure that you don't die. I said, that's a good deal, right? He's like, heck yeah, that's a great deal. Absolutely. So now you're not getting $2 for a box of Band-Aids. You're getting $100,000 to sew a leg back on. And his eyes got real wide. And I said, and so what our job is as copywriters is to take that problem, and what a lot of people do is our job as copywriters is to make that take that problem and make it worse in the mind of the customer, and to take our value proposition and to make it better. Because what a lot of people do is they either focus on the value proposition or they focus on the problem, but they don't focus on both. But you have a 1-2 hit if you make the value. I mean, if you make the problem terrible. He loved the idea of problem, agitate, solve. I said, Eli, do you know what agitate means? He said, no. I said, it's to make something worse. Oh, so you tell him the problem and then you make it worse for him and then you sell him the solution. I said, bright boy. So then we make the value massive so that they can't do anything but say yes. So Mark asked if you're driving the ambulance. Is Dean driving the ambulance?
Exactly.
Okay. So there's a pause and a period.
Mark. Thank you.
There's a period there. I'm very interested in your thoughts, not on my corruption of my youngest grandson, but on just the topic at hand.
At large?
Yes.
I agree. You know, what's funny is that you and I have been writing copy for years. So this is like second nature to us. And a lot of times, and I'm glad you brought this up because I don't even think of it in those terms. In fact, I don't even think of it at all. as I'm going and writing a sales letter, I think, okay, how do I bring the reader into the story?
Right.
How do I engage the reader? And what you told was a complete story. The way you framed it, you're not even thinking about it anymore, right? It's because you create this muscle out of habit and experience. And whether you're writing to sell your own copy or you're writing to create in your mind through words and just telling the story to your grandson, it's coming out like problem, agitate, solve. Hook, story, offer. You
Mhm.
just told an entire hook, story, offered. So you start to see, and all it is a framework,
Mhm.
right? That's all it is. It's a way. How do we convey our message? And you are looking for a way, and you organically found it, talking to your grandson by communicating on an 11th grade level, not on your level, not
No,
on Grandpa's
11-year-old,
level.
not 11th grade. He's going into 6th
11-year-old,
grade.
an 11-year-old, right? So that's how
Right.
we're told to speak to our audience on a 5th, 6th grade level. If you want to create if you want to create a big list of buyers and fans and followers, talk to them like you're talking to a 10 or an 11-year-old. And that's exactly what you did.
Right. Now, do you find that insulting to say it? Why do we talk to him on like
No,
they're a 10 or 11-year-old? Because the kid's not stupid.
no, he's very bright. And the way
Right.
we do that is because our brains are just wired that way. We're not, the problem I think with a lot of marketers or anybody, people who are just starting out, is that they have a need to show you or demonstrate how smart or clever you are. And that's a huge pitfall, because then you start talking above somebody's pay grade, right? And
Right.
this would happen when I was doing stand up too. There would be comics who would tell a joke and the audience would just look at them. It would fall flat, and the comment would go, "Phew," meaning, "Oh, you're stupid. That went over your head," blaming the audience. You have failed as a comic because your audience is your market. And if you can't communicate in a way that gets a response from your audience, and in this case, the only response you want is a laugh or a smile, you have not done your job. So it's up to you, the communicator, the one who's selling your jokes to the audience, to come up with a way that the masses can understand it, because you won't have an audience if you don't do that. Or
Yeah.
you're going to have a very small audience and you're going to be a very bitter comic in 10 years.
Well, there you go. You can be walking around a pickle suit holding up a sign that says tax preparation with an arrow. So,
And a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm just dumbing it down for my audience." If that's what you want to call it and that's how you think, no, you're not dumbing it down. You're speaking in a way that communicates in such a way that you can capture and keep attention, which is, somebody's attention is the most valuable asset you could ever get and ask for as someone who's got a product or a service to sell.
right. You know, I always took the talk at a 5th or 6th grade level not as an insult, but the reason that you want to talk with those kind of words is because, especially when it comes to copy, a sales message, people are distracted, people are busy, people are mistrustful, and people's minds are not 100% focused on your message. So therefore, it's got to be expressed in a way that someone who is distracted, resentful, busy, all this stuff can instantly understand, especially with your hooks and the beginning of your story, so that you can get them to start clearing that stuff out, and they don't have to use extra mental energy to understand the
Yeah,
communication
that's
that
great.
you're putting in front of them. That's how I
Make
always read
right.
that.
Make it easy for your audience, because if you're looking to be smart or clever and people are reading an email, a sales letter, watching a video, and they hear a word that they don't understand or a
Right,
concept that they don't understand, you've lost them. They're
right,
going to, because their minds are going to start thinking, what does that mean? Meanwhile, there's more words coming their way in a video or in a sales page. They're
right.
going to you're going to take them right out of the experience. And one thing you don't want is to take somebody or interrupt their experience in that way. Now, this is, I guess, bridging something with what we call pattern interrupt, where you want people to stop and say, "Oh, what is that?" But it's out of curiosity. It's not because I don't understand that.
Right. That's $1 million tip, because people do that a lot. The purpose of a pattern interrupt, the pattern interrupt can't be the pattern interrupt. And let me explain. If you wanted to say, like, the pattern of it, what an ignorant thing for someone of that caliber to do in front of a congregation like that. What the did you just say? Or say, what a dummy. It's like, I just thought, I mean, I want to write a email where the subject line is, what a dummy. I think I could get a lot of opens with that. What a dummy. Oh my God, I'm going to do that. Because that's
the thing is, when you hear that word dummy, it makes you smile. It doesn't feel offensive. So
makes me think of Red Fox.
Yeah.
Dummy.
I know, exactly.
But that's, I mean, that the pattern interrupt, and you know, a fifth grader will laugh when they dummy. What a dummy. You know, and people can understand it, and you're not talking down, you're slimming it down. Some of the best people, the best talkers, the best speakers, people who people love to pay attention to, they don't talk. They don't use locutions others don't understand, don't comprehend.
It's like colloquial. It's right. I mean, seriously, if you're looking at go ahead about George.
I was just going to say, George Carlin was one of the most erudite people ever, but he could explain stuff in a way that you just got it. And he didn't use big words, and he talked slowly sometimes. I mean, just everything he did. And you know, the funny thing is that who was the narrator of Thomas the Train for years? George Carlin. Did you know that? Did you know that?
No, I have to go back and think of my kids' childhood, because we did Thomas we had
George Carlin narrated Thomas the Train. So here, one of the dirtiest, best comics, the guy 7 words you can never say on TV, was narrating a children's show. Think about that. That totally illustrates my point, that we're not dumbing it down when we talk to somebody at that level. We're cutting through the noise and the clutter and all the stuff that's competing, and we're making our message so clear and powerful that it hits home, and it hits home super, super fast. You know what I mean?
I know. And look at the amazing marketers. If you think like a Russell Brunson, right? Amazing stage presence. And he's having a conversation with you, and he's never talking down to you, and he's never talking above you. The same thing with a Tony Robbins or a Dean Graziosi, right? A Brian Tracy. When you think of the folks who can know how to communicate with an audience, and which is, now you know, why do they have a big audience? It's because they know how to communicate with them, whether it's on stage, whether it's in print, whether it's on video. It's not a secret sauce. Yeah. They have frameworks that they use, but they just know.
Just to prove, George Carlin narrated Thomas the Tank Engine, the 3rd and 4th series, 3rd and 4th seasons. So just so you know, I'm not full of crap.
I wouldn't. You're never full of crap.
I often am, and am proud of it. But just saying, he didn't drop any F-bombs on Thomas the Tank Engine. I hope he didn't either. But you know, at some point, the kid's got to learn it. You know,
this hill is frickin' steep.
F you, Percy.
Put some more damn frickin' coal on the fire.
Mr. Topham Hat, you go straight to Hades, Batman. Oh my gosh. Well, that kind of went downhill.
The
so there you go.
Went down the crapper.
So Nabi asks a question. He says, so what's your 911 that gets people to call you? Well, what the 911 that gets people to call you is to very clearly express the problems and the desires that are important to them. It's not that where most marketing fails is when it's about you, the marketer, and not about them, the customer. So the better you are at knowing your avatar, the better you are at knowing their hot buttons, the better you are at knowing what makes them tick, the better you'll get at having them do what are the only things somebody can do when it comes to your copy, which is to call, buy, try, click, or fill out a form. That's all anybody can do.
And can I address Nabi's question? Because he asks, what's your 911 that gets people to call? It's never about my 911. Yeah. It's about your audiences, your customers' 911, which means where is their pain? Where are they feeling it the most? What do they need? Where's their smashing migraine? Yeah. That's what you have to find out.
Where's their chainsaw accident?
That's right. Brutal.
Oh, hey, makes sense. You know, that's
you've got to know, and that
you gotta know.
You know, and that's the whole thing behind. And again, this goes back to the whole foundation of Fill My Webinar Scripts. It's just knowing your avatar.
Nice.
And the challenges, the roadblocks, the objections, their experience. What have they been through that's brought them to this point that says, please, how do I make this go away? Yeah. Please solve my problem. Please, I don't care what it costs. And that the value that something provides, such as Fill My Webinar Scripts, they're not even thinking, when they hear the price, they're going, oh my God, I would pay 10 times that.
Right.
That's where you want to bring your audience.
But that's the thing, is that it's the problem, and then it's an amazing offer. Yes, you can survive with sort of a problem and amazing offer, or a major problem and sort of a good offer. But if you have a major problem and an amazing offer, that's when you get into life-changing sales and conversion.
And when you were talking about your nephew and the two things, that's exactly what you said. Where's the massive pain and what's the value proposition?
Right. And he said, you know, what I said to him, I said, ultimately what you want to do with your value is have it so good that people are climbing all over themselves to pay you before you change your mind or raise the price. Right. That's the level you got to get the value to. And then, you know, a mental table rush is what you want. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about how you need to tie it in with emotion rather than with an artificial thing like limited quantities or limited time or something like that. If you can tie it in with something that's like internal. So, I mean, this is a smart little kid. And we were talking about, like, if you, like he said, Domino's. If when I'm hungry, I call Domino's, and Domino's and the offer is we'll have a pizza there in 30 minutes or less. Mm-hmm. And I said, yes, you're absolutely right. And you're smart from the standpoint of it's not, hey, it's 2 for 1 or anything. Like, what caused you to call or to take action was internal hunger. So what you want to do is get your copy, get your offer, get your sales process to the point where it's an internal hunger driven thing. It's not dependent on, well, we only have 30 of these left, or the next 22 people, or we're only making this available this week as part of our big launch, and then it'll never be available again, or, you know, all this other stuff. Is if you know you've got an offer that's evergreen and amazing, when you don't have to depend on any of that stuff. And when they get through your sales message, they're like, look, I got to move heaven and earth to get this now, right now. Know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to Domino's Pizza, which is great, their phrase, fresh hot pizza in 30 minutes or less. Now, they came in when I was in college is when Domino's hit the scene. And back then, every college kid was stoned out of their minds on Friday and Saturday night, and all they wanted, they knew their market. Mm-hmm. They knew their market, and it was Amazing. Look, they didn't have to say anything else. They say nothing about delicious.
No, because the pizza wasn't that good.
No, it's rubber.
But I mean, it was still good. I mean, I liked it.
For 30-minute pizza, absolutely. But look, you liked it. When you were in your teens and in your 20s, you love it. It's
Right.
there.
Right.
But and the point is, like McDonald's, you know, it's food that'll kill you. But the offer is so amazing, you don't care.
Exactly. And
Right?
and if you only eat it once a
there.
month, it won't kill
It's
you.
food and it's fast. That's why
And
it's
it
called fast food.
Might be hot. Might be hot.
Might be hot. And yes, I want fries with that.
Might be old.
Give me and I know the salt and sodium content is going to make me so thirsty. Give me the extra large Coca-Cola.
That's right. That's right. Genuine Coke. So this is a great question. Faith says, so do you think this is the order to fix things that aren't working? Copy, offer, design. No. Offer, copy, design. That would be my, what do you think, Dean?
I market, offer, message. Who's your market? Who you serving? Because before you've got to know who you're serving, so you know the offer to shape and craft for them.
Okay. So it's avatar, right. Offer, copy, design. When I'm thinking of offer, I'm like, what's the thing? What's your stack? I'm thinking stack. Right. Yeah. Well, the hook is part of the copy. Christopher says, and your hook too. Hook's part of the copy. Under copy is hook, story, offer, and all the other cool stuff. It's a free show on Facebook. I'm okay. We gotta, do something. This ain't PhD level. But I'm with.
We're talking. This is 11th grade. 11-year-old chatter.
So Copy Pupil says, can you shoot yourself in the foot by offering a solution that solves not only the core problem, but other smaller related peripheral problems? No. Because if
peripheral problems, upsells.
Yeah, you never solve everything.
No.
And even if you do,
problem. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Earl Nightingale said, once you've solved a problem, you've earned the right to solve another one. Solving one problem always creates the need always creates another problem in the chain. Even if you showed somebody how to become a billionaire, next thing you should be selling them is wealth management and tax advice. So there's always the next thing in the chain. Go ahead.
So there's this thinking that when you create something, we have a tendency, and I'm going to include myself in this, that, but I wanted to solve this problem and it can solve that problem. You're going to go down a rabbit hole and that offer will never get created.
Yeah.
Solve one problem.
Yeah.
The main problem of your audience.
Yeah.
The rest is ancillary. There's going, like Jim said, there's going to be more problems, but don't focus on the fringes. Don't focus on the stuff that these ancillary things that can come off of it. One, like I said, you can say, okay, that's a problem that I can solve with an upsell. That I can solve by adding an additional module or another tutorial
or a bonus,
create another product toward this, or I can use it as a lead magnet or anything. I mean, the sky is the limit. And you people do the same thing for the audience. Oh, but my product's for everybody. It's not.
The funny thing is,
like that, no one will come to you.
We talked about Eli and I talked about this in the car, in the truck. We talked about this very thing. He's like, well, what about this? And what about this? I said, well, that can become a one-time offer, or this other thing could be it can be a bonus. And see, here's the thing. I told him, I said, once you figured out the problem, once you figured out what the offer is, then the next thing you need to do is go through and make a list of every single objection someone could have. And then you either address it in the copy or you address it in the offer so that you eliminate the objections, depending on the type of objection. So we were talking about this one thing. I don't remember what it was, but it was like, he said, well, what about this? I said, I would answer that as a question in the copy. So at this point, you might be asking yourself, how are you going to do this? And the answer is blah, 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 blah. Now, something else could be, you know what? You're also going to need to do this. And I gave him the example of when I sold my course on creating multimedia info products. One of the things you needed was a way to do multi-track MP3 mixing rather than you having to go buy a $200 piece of software. I have licensed a piece of software for you that I'm including in the course. Now, the license only cost me $15. And so I was giving them a $200 piece of software, cost me $15, but I was selling something for $1,000. So they were getting, I mean, it was just a win-win-win. He's like, you could do that? I said, sure, why not? And
you just bought the rights to it.
Well, I just bought him a license. All I did was contact the software provider and said, hey, how much would it cost to buy a bulk batch of 100 licenses? And the guy said, $20 a piece. Okay, cool, sold. So that was easy. So my point on this is that I don't even know what the hell my point was. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. And I'm saying, and for a lot of people, that little bonus is worth just as much, if not more, than the $1,000 product Jim was selling.
Sure. Because they don't have, number one, because they don't have to go spend the money.
Yeah.
Number two, it was great for me because then I didn't have to, I'm going to teach you how to do this and you're going to have to go buy it. I'm going to show you exactly what I do and I'm going to give you the software that you're going to be able to do it with. Oh, well, God. Oh,
no brainer.
Right. Exactly. And they even had a link that said, and click here to go see that they actually do sell this for $200. Now it popped a new window, so they didn't leave the sales page, but people would go, okay, this is real. So that was pretty cool. So, Copy People has a follow-up comment, and then we will wrap this up. I'm worried about distracting them and making them think about something other than how bad they need to fix problem number one. So see, this ties in with what I just said with the objections. When you show them, hey, I'm going to help you how to solve this problem, but then it's also like, and in addition to solving this problem, to make it so that you can take care of this, 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 and this. If it's not necessary, then don't do it. But if it is necessary, if it is an objection, if it's an impediment, there you go. If it's an impediment to the conversion.
Wait. What does that mean?
Roadblock.
Roadblock. Okay. Say
Okay.
roadblock.
Rumble strip. If it's a speed bump along the way, then get it out of the way. You love speed bumps and a rental.
Equals speed bumps. Yes, yeah. They do.
I love hitting speed bumps in a rental. You know, how fast can we hit that? I don't care.
No, I like going through, mobile home parks and seeing how fast I can go.
That is true. Right? Yes. Because they're in there loading the shotgun. You better, especially you.
You got to get out.
With that attitude and those glasses, you better get in and out quick.
I know. I am a Jew waiting for something to happen.
My God. Why did you have to play that card?
Why?
Because
I'm Jewish and I can say that. And I'm not doing it for sympathy. I'm not saying it as a victim. I'm saying it as an example.
How would anybody know if you were Jewish? I used to live in a trailer park. It's not like Jewish people drive a certain kind of car and become instantly victimized. That's why I said with those glasses, and I bet you drive a Subaru.
I don't. You know what? We have a Highlander. We've had a Highlander. It's a 2006 Highlander. That's our car. Garage kept, looks like new.
Maybe you wouldn't be assaulted. Well, you live out in the desert, man. Cars live forever in the desert.
They do, especially
which is smart.
You're on the seaboard. Forget it. The salt's going to kill it.
No kidding.
But look, that's something when I was, when my main gig was real estate investing, and because I had mobile homes, I own mobile homes in local mobile home parks. I was very aware not to drive a nice car in there at all times, at any time. Yeah. I had a beat up Honda CRV that I would drive.
Yeah.
It was intentional. It was definitely intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. So the bottom line, Copy People, is you only want the amount of copy that you need to actually sell them on fixing the main problem that you're trying to sell them on. But if you need to include other stuff, ancillary problems that are going to be objections,
right,
then you're going to need to hit on that.
And so to address who is that? Because I don't see that in the thread that we've got. So you're looking at
that's because that's at jimanddeanshow.com.
Got it.
Live.
So the other thing about handling these other objections while you're handling the main objection rethink, you can
Yeah.
handle objections in bullets
Mm-hmm.
with the feature benefit so you can formula, right? Feature benefit meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. You can handle, hey, here's what you're going to get so you can eliminate blah, blah, blah. Get
Right.
rid of.
Right.
Knock the
And you may
socks
not
off.
you may not have even thought of this. Here's
Yeah.
something you may not even thought, but to show you how we have your best interest at heart. Some people at this point might be thinking, well, what about this? And what about this? And you know what? We just taken care of it. We have taken that off the table. You don't even have to worry about it. And they're like, oh my God, Jim and Dean are amazing. I need to sign up for their copywriter insider circle for $20,000 for a year. And you would say, absolutely. That would be the smartest thing in the world that you could ever do. And we're going to let everybody know in October, we are going to launch the Copywriting Insider Circle. It's going to be a small group, very exclusive. It's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be amazing and help you get amazing results. Keep your eyes peeled for the details on that. So,
and here's a way to look at this. And this is how Jim looks at masterminds and high-end coaching. And it's the way I've always looked at it, because stroking that first check, especially if this is your first high-end program, like especially when you're getting coaching or masterminding, somebody had taught me, if I go into something and I come out with one thing, that's all. It's not about quantity and stuff. It's being among a group of people who are sharing these unbelievable ideas that they don't share with anybody else. And if I go in and I can get one golden nugget and I come out and I apply it, I get my I know I get my investment back. It's anywhere between 1 and 10x. I know, and it's just going to keep on going. And that's just one thing.
Yep,
I look at it as an investment, not as an expense.
Absolutely. So just keep your eyes open for that.
Oh, I love Nabi says you'll pay for your education whether you wish to or not. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, people
will.
think that's expensive. Try ignorance.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. It was good catching up, Dean. It was good seeing you. I missed you last week when I was down in Florida. We got some good stuff coming up, some neat things that are coming down the pike in the next couple of months with that. But just wanted to give everybody the heads up that we are definitely going to be launching our Copywriting Inner Circle, and it's going to be amazing. So everybody have a great day. And on behalf of myself
and Mr. Pickles,
you're back.
I am.
Were you on vacation? Where did you go?
I went to Florida as well.
Nice.
And I just hopped around in Disney World looking up people's skirts. Because I'm only about 8 inches long. Well, really 6, but I tell everybody I'm 8 inches long. You know how it is, Dean. You know?
You're bragging.
All right. Yeah. Hey.
How big was that fish you caught?
It was big. It was this big. There you go. All right, everybody have a great day, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.